just make sure we have those. I think I'm just going to show at the end of the class how to save the files so we can move on to the dance. But just as a reminder, we go into the artboards icon here on the left. And in that window space, in that window space, you can adjust the artboards. So I'm actually going to go to this one and just make it the size I want it to be. When we resize it, we kind of just make sure the space around the border. And then we go into the properties and just make it a clean number here. Maybe make this 8 by 7. And out of good habit, we're going to name our artboards because it'll be easier for us to identify what's what later on. So this can be like basic dress. So first we name it from the style name. Basic dress. Let's just do front and back. Just F and B.
on the guideline at the bottom, after like the waistband seam here. I just want you to lay down your points. So see here, as I go from, okay. When I lay them down, like I'm going a straight line, I click and release. If I want to start the curve off, I hold on to the anchor point. My finger is still down on the click. And I'm like angling the handlebar. You see when I released it? Now that made it way too curvy, but I was just trying to show how to create a curve immediately instead of going in later. So I want us to practice this on this hip here. So I click release, click, I hold down, click release. Watch first and then do, guys. Click release. I have this like a handlebar loose. I'm going to click back on the anchor point and just angle the handlebar. When I release, that gives me an automatic curved line that I can then place down on my hip that I can fix later. So here I'm going to do a straight line from hip down. So I just click and release. And I'm not going to have it right at the ankle. I mean, I could. Why not? Let's just do that. So we have our straight line at the corners of the ankle. We come up here. Let's just go straight to the center front crotch. And we're going to shape that out in a second. Okay, so let's just start by putting down these anchor points on these specific spots. In the center front, at the outside waist, the hip, and then the out-seam, inseam, leg, and then the crotch. Lay down that last one, you can press escape to then clear out to the anchor. Oh, and please make sure you're not drawing with the fill color, so take the fill off so you can see what's happening underneath. Lay down those anchor points, then you can adjust. You can use a combination of the direct selection tool, so A, and the anchor point tool to kind of adjust your anchor points and your curves to make them exactly what you want them to be. So I'm going to adjust my handle a little bit. I don't want too much curve at the waist area because that makes it look really frumpy. So it should be quite straight angle and then more of a hip shape at the hip. Maybe actually I don't want to go too much. Maybe I actually want to come and shape that some.
crotch yet, so this is still just a straight line. Everything else should be right along that curve. Everything lined up, we want to create a slight, crotch. It's not going to go straight up to the point like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to add, an anchor point. So you can press the plus key, and we can just put an anchor point below. Zoom in anymore. So I just did my plus key to get the pen tool where you add the anchor point, and I just put an anchor point just below somewhere. And then if I press the A key to get the direct select tool, I can adjust this to be right here. Just a bit. So let me do that one more time. Alright, so I'm at this crotch line. I'm going to add an anchor point. I'm going to just press the plus key on my keyboard. Just throw it down anywhere on below the crotch. Hit A key to get my direct select tool. Come up here. Line it up. Come over to my anchor point tool. And I'm just going to do a soft curve line. Move down a bit.
on it, and then maybe after we can do pockets and stuff, but I just want to do a simple dart. We remember how to do a dart. I can just draw a line. Now the front darts, remember, don't go too low, just only about 3 inches or something. But the line, we're going to change the stroke to be tapered at the end. And can you guys tell me what stroke weight should we make our dart? 0.75. So I'll do that one more time. We're going to draw a line at right here, this guideline, where is the princess scene. It's where you also put your dart. So just draw a line. You can either use a pen tool or the line segment tool. We're going to change the profile of this line to be a tapered tip. So let's do profile number 4. I mean, I guess you could, no, number 4. Okay, yeah. And then it's still too thick, so we're going to change the weight to 0.75. For all of our design details, 0.75. That makes it look like a dart. Let's also include, while we're here, the hem. Do you remember how we create a hem easily? Copy the hem line and then up button, yeah, so the arrow up or the shift arrow, depending on how big you want the hem to be. So there's obviously like a million ways to create flats. You can do that way, where with the direct selection tool, so A key, you select the hem, Control C, Control F, and either shift up arrow once or 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like count how many arrows you move it up. This all just depends on how big you want the hem to be. So that's really up to you. Then we gotta go into the stroke and make it a dashed line. We create a dash. 2 by 2 or 2 by 1. 1.5 by 1.5. Just not like 1 by 1, because that's more like a, or even smaller than that. It's kind of like a dot more than a stitch line. I think 2 by 2 is pretty standard. Sometimes I'll do 2, like 1.5 by 2. Again, it really depends on the stitching. So sometimes you're gonna have tighter stitch per inch, how many stitches there are in 1 inch or cm, or sometimes it's wider. So this represents the actual stitches that you do. So, but if we do 1.1, it looks like dots, which we don't really want. Unless we're doing a specific like line stitch detail or something. Okay, so I like 2.2 for basic. And then what's the last thing we need to do to make the stitch line look more real? So one more step for the stitch line. line. The weight right now is 1 point. Do we want our stitch lines to be 1 point? What should it be? Sorry? 0.5. Thank you for your confidence. Yes, 0.5. Okay. So we're going to keep these just basic pants for now, and we are going to now take this little simple, actually, it's kind of the pants that I'm wearing right now. Okay, so we're going to take this simple pant and reflect over. So we're going to copy everything. Before we do this, let's define our layers a bit, right? Because we were doing this all on what? On the details layer. So the dart and the hem, yes, on the details, but the outside body, we're going to move that down to the sketch layer, right? So let's only select, we can do the V tool, V key to get the selection tool, black arrow, and just click on the body. And remember to move it from this details layer down to our sketch layer. We just, whatever is selected is going to highlight here, this little dot on the side. So we're going to click on this dot and move it down to the red. And you'll see everything goes from the details layer to the red sketch layer. So I'll move that back down so we can stay nice and organized. And just so you guys know, so you think I'm not just being like ridiculous, the reason why we have these separate is because when you start to make a lot more advanced tech flats, having the back layer separate, where you can just then focus on the inner stuff, is so clutch, because then you can just like lock the actual sketch and only just work on the details. You can like go and select a bunch of details without selecting the actual sketch, and it just makes your process a lot smoother. So if you just get in the habit, even if we're doing these very basic flats right now, just getting in the habit of selecting that, you'll make your life much easier down the future. Okay, so we select the sketch of the outer edge and put it in the sketch. Details and details. Now we can select all of the three things and reflect it. So we're going to, with our black arrow, to make sure we select everything, go ahead and draw a bounding box around those three items. And we reflect. Same as before. We're going to copy. And I'm going to shift key it over until it's close enough. And then just arrow key until it's on the outer edge. Remember, we focus on the outer edge, we can always fill in the inner edge later. That's good there. Do that one more time. So with my black arrow key, so I press V, I'm going to select all of this leg, reflect, copy, shift arrow till it's arrow, 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 there. complete shape yet, right? Do we remember how do we make these two incomplete shapes, one complete shape? Average, join. Good. So which arrow do I need? The white arrow or the black arrow to select those anchor points?
White arrow.
So we need the white arrow, so let's go to A for the direct selection tool, and we just go and select the two anchor points. First, average. To make them on the same plane, and then join. If you join before you average, then you don't get a center front point. You get two separate ones, and then it gets really messy. So the process is always average, then join. We're going to do that also at the bottom, at the crotch. Average, join. Okay, what am I missing on these pants to make them real pants? Other than the waistband, but on the pant leg, I'm missing something key. All pants must have. I think I hear someone say it, but you're not saying it confidently. Huh? Not the zipper. We'll add that later. Or something that all pants must have that we don't have. The middle part?
Yeah.
What is this called?
It's like the line.
Okay, the center front seam. the seam in the center. We're going to work on the vocabulary together. Okay, so our center front seam. We need to have a center front seam in our pants. So let's add that in. We can do that in many ways. Like many ways. So let's just do the easiest way for now by just drawing a line. Starting at that anchor point to the next anchor point. So just make sure they go on top of each other. Okay. What's your Okay. So we have our center front seam. Something that I like to do is, depending on what's going on in the crotch, right? So these are kind of like right against the leg. So these are considered kind of like leggings, so tight fitted pants. If it was like a looser pant with like a looser leg, then here at the crotch, you wouldn't have both of these. You wouldn't have both of this curving against the thigh. So this means that the crotch line is going right against the thigh, meaning it's like a very slim fitting pant. What's going on? So what I would do to make this look like the same doing a straight leg or a wide leg, I would take away one of the anchor points. going to add is a little crotch line. So you can go in here and just little boop. Now for the front one, we're going to make it a bit smaller, and the back one we make it look a bit bigger. So we just do a crotch line. I go in with my brush, my paintbrush. So take my paintbrush, and just make a small. Crotch line. And I want it to be also not so thick. So you can change it in different ways. Like there's, my brush was at the oval one, not at the basic one. So I like to give it a little bit of a curve. So I like to use this one. Number 3 point oval. Or you can, I definitely want to reduce the weight. So I make the weight 0.5 or something like that. But you can also do in the uniform and, choose one that you like as well. It's kind of like a design detail for your style of doing your brushes. Make sure that it kind of goes on top of the curved line that you made. So we have this, it's kind of an illusion. So if we just do it on top of that, it kind of looks like a slight fold in the crotch, which gives it a realistic vibe. Okay. So we have our little crotch. Make it small. Not have the automatic before. All right. If you don't see these brushes, here's how you're going to find them. Go to your hamburger, the little 3 layers. Or actually, you can just go to down here, the brush libraries. The brush libraries, they go to artistic calligraphy. And then these have the different types of brushes you can choose from. These are for calligraphy, so if you want a line that has a little bit of a slant or different than just a basic 1 point. So the one that I pulled that I was looking at was a 3 point oval. That one's in this one. So you can pull out any of these. This is 3 point oval, this is a 5 point, this is 1 point. 1 point oval would be nice to then you have all these different kind of slant lines. So the thing about Illustrator, there's so much in here that I just can't go over, so you have to just kind of just play around one afternoon, once a week or something, and just like discover what are the different brushes you like, go into the different ones, maybe there's some arrows you want. You don't need any of these though. So you can see all the different types of brushes there are. This might have some interesting ones. Okay. And so you can just build your brush library here by just dragging something over. Then when you're done with it, you can just exit it out. A lot of these have this little icon here, like libraries. It usually sets you up with a basic, like, default library, but then you can always find different, what's the fashion one? It's probably for, yeah. You can find different, like, icons. You can use and play with. I don't care. Let's say you wanted to have one pant leg a different color than the other pant leg. So you don't want just a random line dividing. You need them to be two different shapes, right? Because you can't color this one separate than this one. Does anyone have an idea of how we would create two different pant legs from what we have already? From any of the tools that we know and used before? Ideas? Remember the Pathfinder tools we made the sleeve from the basic body? We made a sleeve a couple weeks ago. We can do the same thing, okay? So just for fun, let's make two pant legs, okay? So we can, so we're gonna continue this shape. And you just make a shape around one leg. This is the same technique we used to make the sleeves. So I'm gonna make a copy. Well, actually, I want two separate legs, so I'm just gonna divide them. Actually, we don't need to do that. Wait, what do I want to have you guys do? Copy. Okay. No, let's just divide it. So instead of doing the full, let's go back. Let's just say I want to divide the two legs, okay? So I can just extend the line with a tool. I'm going to select the bottom of this path. I'm just going to extend this line down so I know clearly where I'm cutting it. Okay, I select the body and that line that I'm cutting it between, the center front line, and I can just hit divide, Pathfinder divide. As we know, it's going to be grouped, so we can ungroup it. And then we have one leg and a second leg. Okay. So let me do that one more time. I took my center front seam and I like to extend it just because I want the divide to be nice and clean. So then I can select the dividing line, Pathfinder, divide. I want you to test it to make sure you have two colors. Boom. It still groups. Ungroup it. After you divide, always ungroup. And then color one pant leg, one color, and next another. So you see, there's different ways of doing things that you can use anywhere. So this idea of creating shapes, just like we did on the sleeve, that's not how you only create the sleeve. Anytime you want to create a shape from a shape you already have, you can use the Pathfinder divide or the Pathfinder unite. There's obviously other ways to do it also in Illustrator. There's like, I swear, at least three ways to create one thing in Illustrator. So you can play around and find quicker ways that you can do it. This is a good simple way. So I want to see some two-tone pants. So I go into my center front seam, and I just, with the A key, with the direct selection tool, I just extend the line a bit. Shift, arrow down, okay? Then I'm gonna use that line to cut into my pant shape. So I have my big pant shape. I wanna cut it along that center front line, so I hold Shift key and I select both. Pathfinder, divide. It's all grouped, so after we divide, we always ungroup.